Hi everyone, so today I thought we'd go over how I do my Raven Guard. Now I've had plenty of requests on my Instagram account for how I do this scheme. I love the subtle greys and the black here. I think it looks wonderful. Raven Guard are one of my favourite chapters for the Horus Heresy, but this scheme would be equally as good on Black Templars or even Dark Angels if you were thinking of doing something there and leaning into more of the heresy vibe. But yeah, look, I look forward to showing this video to you. I hope you enjoy, I hope you learn something, and let's paint. Okay, so all I've done prior to this tutorial is I've just pinned the model, I've given it an all over base coat of black, and then I've gone over with AK black. And AK black is this really lovely deep matte black. And I've also just blacked out the shoulder pads, although they are going to be an off-white colour, but we just want a nice black base coat to start. Okay, so we're going to hit directly from above with rubber black from AK. So we're literally just hitting it as if the sun, and you can see the reflection in the image here, where everything that's in light is where we're going to hit the rubber black. So it's going to be quite a broad first highlight stage. And this is a very subtle black, very subtle difference to what we've already got on the model, but we want to leave that matte black in the shadows. Okay, once that's done, you'll have this rubber black just from above, but still in the deepest recesses, you're going to have the matte black. It's a very subtle tonal variation at this stage. The next thing we're going to be doing is using AK Dark Grey. So this is where we need to get a little bit more careful about where we're applying this highlight. So we're going to just be applying it to the very utmost parts of the model, but it's easy for this black model to start looking grey, which is what we don't want. Bear in mind that when we do the oil stage, it is going to knock the grey back and help blend everything together, but still we want to be careful at this stage that we don't turn this black model into something that looks a little bit more grey. So very careful where we apply these highlights. I've got my airbrush here on a very low PSI, around 20, and I'm just going to be hitting a few select spots. So tops of the legs there, little top of the knee pads, just on the foot, just the top of his power fist, and on a couple of the fingers, and just on his hand holding the weapon. Just going to hit kind of one side of the chest, as if the sun is coming from that side specifically, and then again also that kind of side of his helmet there. For the backpack, just going to give it a little touch down the back, a little bit on the backs of the legs, and the back of the power fist there too. Okay, and you should have something that looks like this. Okay, so still reading as black at this stage, but as you can see, it'd be quite easy for this model to become grey. And we are going to put one last brighter grey highlight. So again, it's really important that we don't, we use this grey sparingly and we don't turn the whole model grey. Okay, and the last highlight we're going to be doing is using Ash Grey by AK. So I've got my airbrush here and I've got it very low. Also the paint is quite thinned because we don't want to end up with too much on the model at this stage, and I'm going to be hitting just a few select places, like the very top of the helmet, just to draw a bit more attention there, top of his power claw, top of his chest, on his shins, and just the top of his knee pad Okay, so this is very subtle, and we're aiming inside of the previous highlight stage we've just done. I'm only going to do the one more exposed leg at the back, but still, see, it's still majority of black is the model. Might just highlight up the head just ever so slightly more, and maybe just the top of his hand there holding the weapon, just to draw the eye. And at that stage, I think that's far enough. I don't want to be taking it any further. Okay, the next stage is completely optional, but I've got my little dry palette here, bit of cork. I've got a very small bit of sponge with a nice kind of sharp tip, and I'm just going to be adding a little bit of chipping. And all I'm going to be doing is taking the majority off of my sponge, and I'm using the ash grey here, and I'm just going to be applying a few little chips and imperfections just to the areas I think would catch the most damage. Now, again, important that we're quite subtle here. We don't want this to be overly chipped, and I am going for a fairly clean result, but tops of the shin pads, for example, in and around the panel lining on the backs of the feet, and just work your way around the model carefully. But anywhere you feel would be exposed the most, just focus in on those areas. Okay, and once you finish that stage, you should have something that looks like this. And as you can see, it's very subtle, the chipping that I've used. Paid most attention around the power fist, the feet, the lower part of the model, the bits that are really gonna get the wear and tear, the elbows, etc. A little bit on the head, but and chest, but don't want this to be too much. And all we're going to do now is block out the silver parts. So for this, I am using my favourite jet exhaust from Vallejo metal colour. A very thin, watery kind of consistency to this. So just make sure your brush isn't overly loaded. And I'm just going to go around and block in the metal parts. So the gun, the kind of connected ripping on his chest, the little belt buckle, and also the little skull that he's got on his forehead there, and the coils on the backpack. So I'll just take my time and make sure that I don't get any of this on the black that's already been established, because it's going to be very hard at this stage for us to go back and make corrections without them standing out. So we want the black to be nice and clean as possible. Okay, and once you've blocked in the metals, you should have something that ends like this. I like to do the fingers of the power fist with metal. I think it just looks cool. And there's the bolter's metal. It kind of balances the metal across the model there. All we're going to be doing now, we're not going to be varnishing, so just as is, and we're going to be applying an oil filter. So this is Starship Filth from AK, and it's this kind of lovely grey black dirty mix here. So I've thinned this with mineral spirit, and I'm just going to be touching this to the model and allowing the capillary action to go into all the recesses. Now, because we haven't varnished this model, it is going to flood up into parts of the model where we maybe don't want such a big build-up. So all I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be drying the end of my brush and then just feathering across the parts that aren't quite hit with the oil. And all that's going to do is stop any tide marks from forming. So again, we're tapping into the areas where we want the majority of the recess shade, but then where we're getting these tide marks, we're just coming in with a wiped brush and just buffing that oil into those areas so we can avoid any tide marks that form. So work your way slowly around the model. I always find it useful to have a little pod of pure mineral spirits off to one side, so if I do end up putting a little bit too much on somewhere, I can come back quickly, rinse my brush off, apply the pure mineral spirits, and just correct any mistakes. The beauty of using oils is that you have the ability to do that, so take advantage of it. But as I said, make your way slowly around the model. You want to be hitting every part of the surface, including the weapons and silver parts, and once that's done, we'll move on to the next stage. Okay, and with the oil stage finished, I've then applied a gloss varnish. Now the varnishes I'm using are both from Vallejo. So I use the polyurethane gloss varnish, and then I've applied the decals. I absolutely love decals. I think they add so much character to a model so quickly. I love them for army painting. Now the sheet I'm using is the Raven Guard sheet from the Horus Heresy, and it's got so many wonderful little decals to use here. And then all I've done after that, I've then applied another coat of gloss varnish just to seal the decals, and I finished with a satin varnish also from Vallejo. And I like to, I don't know why, but a lot of tutorial videos, they never tell you what varnish they use. I think it makes such a big difference to how the end result looks. So I'll be trying to make sure I always use the same ones if you're ever curious, but they're the ones I believe get the best result, and you end up with something that looks like this. Now you can use an ultra matte or a matte varnish to finish. I just like that these guys look a little bit more glossy. Raven Guard are very tactical, so I just think they look cool. Also the satin will allow the variation of tones to pop through just that little bit more, but we now got this lovely kind of off black marine in all the highlighted areas and a very deep black in the recesses, and I think he looks wonderful. Next stage is going to be the pauldrons. So I've primed these both black, and the paints we're using very simply for this stage is going to be graphite and silver grey. Okay, so first with the graphite, we're just going to be hitting the very tops of the pauldrons. So we're going to be aiming from above, but trying to just hit the kind of top part of the pauldron, allowing this natural shade of graphite to build up towards the very highest point. You want to keep a little bit of that black showing through in the back there, but I've thinned this quite a lot, so it's going to take a couple of coats. I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side as well, and just take your time and slowly build this graphite, leaving a little bit of black towards the bottom, and we can move on to the next stage. Okay, so we've built that graphite up on the pauldrons now towards the top, and we've still left a little bit of black showing through right at the bottom, which is going to be more in shadow when we attach it to the model. Next stage is we're going to take silver grey, and we're going to pretty much repeat the same step as last time. So from the top, we're going to be applying this colour very gently, just down almost directly from the top of the pauldrons. Now this white isn't the best for the airbrush. If you're using a sponge to do this method, you'll probably have a better time, but just allow each layer to dry before you move on to the next, because it does like to split. And once you've done that, you should have something that looks like this. Now last step here is I'm just going to take the same silver grey, and I'm just going to basically apply just a bit of an edge highlight all the way around the pauldron. I don't normally do edge highlighting like this, but I want this to look really clean on the shoulder. So ever so slightly on the edge of your brush, just going around and applying a pure silver grey edge highlight, just to really clean up the hard edges. And you'll see when we put this on the model that it makes the shoulder pads look super crisp and defined. After I've completed this edge highlight, I'm just going to gloss varnish, then apply some decals, and again seal with gloss and finish with satin. Okay, and with that done and his pauldrons attached, our armour is complete. So I think these Raven Guard models look amazing, and this is how I do them for my own Horus Heresy force. It's very subtle, but I think Raven Guard should be. And it's not hard to get these on the gaming table very quickly. So all I'm going to do now is attach him to his base and just complete the final couple of details that I want to add, and then we'll have a look at him when he's done. Okay, and with that, this guy's complete. So all I've done is given a few of the buttons and lenses a little bit of glow. There is a tutorial on my channel if you want to know how I achieve that look. And then I've simply gone in and just tapped a bit of mithril or chrome to some of the metal elements just to bring back a bit of the luster. Popped him on his base. Again, there's a basing tutorial on my channel of how I do these bases, but I think he looks wonderful. Please let me know what you've thought about this scheme. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've learned something. Look forward to reading your comments down below. I always read them. I think it's great to get feedback. Love doing these videos for you. I hope to do many more. But yeah, feel free to jump on my Patreon. There is a free membership as well as a paid, but everything on there is for free at the moment anyway. So look forward to seeing you in the next one, and thanks very much.